This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and I am your host, Sean Dustin. First of all, this is almost Christmas Eve. I'm call it a special, if you will. For all you out there, Merry Christmas if that's your thing. We're kind of in weird times still. But my guest today is R.L. Malpica, and he is the host of Minds Head Like Mines. Boom, the ones that blow up. I think that's what it was meant to be, right? That pun?
It's more along the lines of like mine, like minds that are like mine, and it's just kind of a play on words. But that works too. Yeah,
my mind is like a mine. You know, sometimes I go down get into little nooks and crannies that feel like I wish I want to blow up.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm happy to be here, man. Excited.
Yeah, man, me too. You and I kind of share some of the same ideals, or maybe not ideals, but the same thought processes about kind of where we're at in society right now and the things that are going on. But you and I got a chance to listen to you through IPU20, and
okay,
yeah, because I was one of I'm one of the founders of it. And also I was doing the hosting and the streaming, moderating for the streams.
Okay.
So,
it was a great event.
Yeah. For how fast we put it together. And like, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. Because behind the scenes, there was a little, there was like, it was kind of hectic for a little bit, and we finally got it together. And my big part of it was making sure the live stream and everything else was all right. And me and Jeff kind of shared the same responsibilities. And there was a couple of other hosts too, but we had the bulk of the whole thing. So yeah, I'm glad that it did, and I'm looking forward to IPU21. We're going to do 2 events this year. So we're going to attempt to do that. And so we had a good start, that's for sure. We under promised and over delivered. Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. I was really excited to be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to the next one for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, man. So tell me a little bit about your podcast, how it got started, and a little bit about yourself. My show is Nowhere to Go But Up, and that kind of like explains a little bit about what it is, because that's a portion of it. But since it started, it's sort of taken on a life of its own, like through my own interests of a little bit of variety, and then mixed in with some conspiracy stuff and
right.
Or as we're seeing now, the Great Reset is no longer a conspiracy because they're openly talking about it.
Right. For sure, man. Honestly, the podcast kind of just happened based off a thought between me and my co-host, Deshaun, the Definition. He used to be a barber, and he cut my hair, and we've been like best friends for almost 20 years. And we just have these conversations about everything going on in life, whether it be religion or social issues or spirituality. And, the idea came out and said, we need to make this a podcast. And I was like, I can do that. I've got a film background. So I'm really good with the technology aspect of it. So I was like, I'll put it together. Let's do it. And it was only supposed to be a hobby, but as soon as we started dropping episodes, like you talked about, it kind of took a life of its own. And, we kind of grew into it because we're both kind of on our spiritual journey. And, we talk a lot about that throughout, and each episode is almost like therapeutic in a way, which I know you can relate to as well. So we're on this journey. We want our listeners are on that journey with us. And, as we grow, the people grow. And it's just, like I said, taking a life of its own. We talk spirituality, consciousness, social issues, mental health, and really ultimately from a high frequency standpoint. Everything is about bettering us individually from within. And we're truth seekers, man. We want the truth. We're going to talk about the truth. We're going to get down to the truth. And, conscious free thinkers. We're not your typical cookie cutter podcasters. we get deep on some shit. We can cuss on here, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's for me. It's kind of the same thing, honestly. I've been on my spiritual journey for a few years now, and it is therapy for me to come on here and talk. And every time, something's on my mind or I'm learning something, I want to share it to everybody who listens. And that's kind of my story. I'm a spiritual mentor. I help people, kind of get on that same journey that I'm on. And that's kind of where my place is in the podcast.
Okay. Well, one of the things that I definitely took from what I've watched from a couple of the episodes today, looking at your YouTube channel. So I checked out the, let me get over in the videos here. I checked out, was Trump a good president? And then history of politics. I started to listen to the natural medicine for alternative, but it was, I think that was only a audio, right?
Yes, that one was only audio. Correct.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, she's cute, and I want to see what she looks like. So it's not video, so I stopped listening to it. I couldn't see her. No, I'm just kidding. It was an hour and 20. I didn't actually have that much time after I listened to the other two. But I like what you're saying, and I liked what you were saying when you were talking about, because you went kind of deep and you were kind of by yourself on the one with you were solo on IPU. And some of the things that you were talking about and carrying on that conversation, or the presentation was pretty deep and hit on a lot of different topics and kind of where we're at, which for a lot of people, I just don't get it, man. I don't get how so many people get fooled by the right and the left. And the way that I think they're all full of shit. All right. It's a two-party system, which is made to divide everybody. Like you think you believe the same thing, but it's two heads of the same snake. We didn't used to, the Republicans, I believe, were always taking the corporate money. And then the Democrats didn't have that model, but they switched to the model and started taking money from a different side of the corporates. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like you've got the Democratic corporate side and you've got the Republican corporate side. And they all take money from the donors, and the donors are the ones that actually run everything, because they are the ones that pay for all of the, give them all the money for the re-elections, campaigns, and all this other stuff. They pay the money for the legislation that they introduce for laws and everything else to change or deregulate, whatever you want to call it. The politicians literally don't do shit. They're just talking heads.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, well, let me take this and let me take this. And there was a great movie, a documentary called The 13th, where they kind of they touch on a legislative lobbying company called ALEC. And one of the politicians made a mistake and forgot to take the letterheads and everything off of ALEC before he introduced it to legislation. And so it really just showed that, like, oh, well, really all you do is just copy and paste some shit and change the name of what it is, and then you introduce it as if it's yours.
Yep.
And so that's how it goes. And it's the same game for all of them. It's not just the Democrats. It's not just the Republicans. Those are just silly fucking games, man.
It's all by design.
Yeah.
And you'll hear me say that a lot. It's all by design. They're all playing for the same team. If you look at our, like, there's multiple parties, a lot of parties people don't even know about, the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, and so on and so on. But they'll never be able to infiltrate the system because it's by design to have one against another. And that goes all the way back to the symbol of America. The symbol of America, the eagle. The eagle has a left wing and a right wing. That's why you hear about the left wing and the right wing. And that goes all the way back to Roman times, right? Like our government is built off what the Roman Empire was built on. and ultimately came over here. It's the same thing. It's all a show. It's all to keep you interested. So they have to appease to certain types of people. Mm-hmm. And they're going to, the Republicans are going to appease to the conservatives. The Democrats are going to appease to the urban culture and more of the liberal side of it. But they're always going to make you feel that they need you. I'm sorry, that you need them. That's their plan. If there comes a point where we don't need them, well, then they can't exist anymore. So they have to continue to come up with things to make the people that are asleep, feel that they need them. That's why so many people think that, oh man, when we get Joe Biden in office, things are going to change. Okay, well, we'll see. Let's talk in a year and we'll see what's really changed.
But
that's kind of where you're at.
But he told everybody that nothing is going to change. He said that. I mean, I've watched a bunch of stuff where he said, no, nothing. They used some other word, but that he managed to put together without screwing it up. That nothing was going to change basically, and that if I'm elected, we will be wearing masks forever, and lockdowns will persist. And yeah. I just look, there's a bigger play here, and people just don't understand what it is. It's about authoritarianism. It's about trying to, a lot of this is just tests to see how far they can push people, to see who's going to follow and who's going to not. They're bringing in a lot of stuff, I believe, the technology that they're already using in China, which is the facial recognition, the social scoring. Basically, if you do wrong, everybody can see your social score and your points and all this other stuff. Another thing,
it's like Sims, the video game.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing I believe is that they're going to basically try and it really seems like they're trying to destroy America and prop up China. Honestly,
I see that. I can see that for sure.
And it's a globalist agenda. It's the same stuff that Alex Jones has been, screaming about for years. It's all true, except for maybe the Sandy Hook thing. I mean, that was kind of whatever, but there are false flags. Those are real. Those are real things.
But that's the kicker. It's like, so maybe he was wrong about that. And, I talk a lot about Alex Jones. I've watched him for years, and say what you want about him. He's a very knowledgeable individual.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely knowledgeable. And so say he did get Sandy Hook wrong. Well, can you blame him? Because if you can't trust, is one of my things. If you can't trust everything, then you have to question everything. Mm-hmm. So you're going to fault him for questioning something when there have been so many other false flags? No, I'm not going to fault him for that.
Mm-mm. And you check out Jason Burmis, because he was on there. He actually, so him and Loose Change is what I started. I didn't know that Jason Burmis did that until I started watching a thing called the Union of the Unwanted, and it's basically on it has its own YouTube channel now, but basically it's a bunch of alternative media sources that are coming together every other Monday. People like Sam Tripoli, you've got Charlie Robinson from Macroaggressions, you have OBDM, you've got all of these alternative media sources. Even the guy from Plandemic, the guy who did that movie, one of the guys that started the Union of the Unwanted, he interviewed him, and he has a bunch of people like him on there. So it's if you like alternative media, that's a great source to go to.
Yeah.
And I've had quite a few people on there, but he actually, getting back to Jason Burmis and Loose Change, Alex Jones he used to work for InfoWars. And so that's where he got his start. And so Jason actually, Alex has funded some of his documentaries. Jason has like 5 documentaries, I believe, on his YouTube channel that are for free. Like Loose Change, some other ones. I mean, they're really, really good stuff. But he had Alex Jones on for about an hour, and they were both talking, and it was a really good episode.
I'll definitely check that out, man. He's entertainment.
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't like Joe Rogan though. It wasn't like Joe Rogan, because when you take the alcohol away from him and don't let him drink,
Right.
He's more understandable. He's not all over the place. Like the last Joe Rogan one. Remember that one? Did you watch that one?
If it was the one right before the election, I mean, I saw the one before the election and the one before that. So both of them were pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's only
the first
because
one with Eddie Bravo. He's talking about he's telling Eddie Bravo to choke him out and shit. But no, I saw both of them. They were both entertaining.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a mess. It was a shit show because you get him drinking and he's all over the place because he has just so much information that it's just like he can't control what's coming out. But this one was a lot better. It was more maintained and like very understandable and actually really talking about some of the cool shit that they're finding out right now. So
very entertaining stuff.
What else? So the plant-based medicine, and I heard you talk about holistic health and all of that kind of stuff. I'm definitely into that. Tell me a little bit about that and what your thoughts are on plant-based medicine, being one of them. And I think your co-host is a smoker because I think I on one of those he took a hit and started coughing.
Yeah. I'm a smoker as well. I don't do it on the podcast yet. But no, I mean, I'm plant-based everything. I'm a vegetarian for 3 years now. And I just believe in, and I hate to use the word believe, but I'm about the earth. I'm about nature, and I'm about looking for alternative ways besides, the majority of people being conditioned to, go to CVS and pick up the remedy that they're selling you. You know what I'm saying? And big pharma and all that. We need people to understand that, big pharma didn't exist for the majority of and I shouldn't even say the majority, but within the last, prior to 100 years from today, there were cures, and most medicines are based off of plant. So the more information they get that they can remedy themselves, homeopathic ways as opposed to allopathic, the better they'll be. Because when you start going down that rabbit hole and really understanding what big pharma is all about and why it costs $450 for a medicine if you don't have insurance, you start to understand, where the profit comes in. The profit is in the comeback. They're not, like Chris Rock said, the profit's in the comeback. They're not gonna cure anything. They're just going to suppress it a little bit, make you feel okay, so you'll come back for more. That's where the money is. So it's really just, when I do things with natural medicine, like the episode I have on YouTube, it's just about making people aware that, look, you have to question everything. You were brought up to, you're brought up taking certain vaccines. You were brought up eating a certain way. You were brought up thinking that going to the doctor was like going to talk to God, like that authoritarian figure. Like you never question that ever. Whatever they prescribe for you, you take, and you stay on that remedy, until they say you don't anymore. And that whole way of thinking needs to go. This is the conscious era. We have information at our fingertips, and we need to provide that information to the people.
Absolutely. And I think that we are in this. I've been saying this since the beginning when I started my podcast, almost, I think in May, it'll be 2 years that I've had it, that we're like in the second age of enlightenment. Everything is starting to come to light. What happens to societies when the controlling faction starts to lose control? They start burning books. They start erasing. They start erasing history. They start, trying to suppress ideas and information, and trying to. It's like the last ditch efforts to keep that control. And I think it's going. People are seeing the curtain's been pulled, and oh shit, look how small the wizard is. The Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah.
We're all seeing it.
Look at the response. Let's put it this way. In just the past 5 years, let's say, the response from major corporations like YouTube and Facebook and other media entities suppressing what you can post on those platforms. right? Look at what they did to Alex Jones. They kicked his ass off YouTube. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Like they suppressed an individual making a living, sharing the knowledge that he has because it didn't fit with the agenda of the system, of the society that we live in. And that right there shows you when they start taking measures like that, that shows you that now they see us. They know we're growing. It's growing. So they're going to do whatever they can to suppress that to keep control.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in 2021. I don't, a lot of people are like, oh, why won't Trump concede? And I wouldn't either. Honestly, I wouldn't either. If everything that you've seen, as far as like stuff that I've watched, there's tons of fraud that's happening. And first of all, since I'm in a union and I'm in a labor union, and when labor unions are based off of the national democratic way, right? And so when we go to vote, you literally have to check my ID to make sure who I am before you even give me a ballot. And that's what should have happened and should always happen in any election, because you've got all of these people that live in, and this, I mean, I'm not saying that this is the reason. There was a whole lot of different reasons, from, the voting machines, Dominion being able, it's a Windows-based operating system, and they can literally drag votes and drop them into wherever they want, and they can switch it, do all that stuff. But you have people that were living in two, you have the people that have a residence here and another one over here. They voted twice. You had people that were voting that were dead.
Joe Frazier, I don't know if you're a boxing fan, but Joe Frazier voted.
Did he?
He's been dead for about 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, just that alone should. You should, anybody should be like, all right, well, if there is just that little bit of fraud, then there's got to be a lot more, and between that and the media. So, they talked about Russian collusion and all this other shit in 2016. Well, guess what? The media colluded and had way more of an influence on what happened in this election than the Russians ever could have.
Oh yeah. It was like they were going to do, look, by any means necessary, they were going to get Trump out of office. They were going to go at all costs, whether that's, suppressing information, which they do. That's been proven. Whether it's some of the protocols that they put in place because of COVID that changed the way that voting usually happens, that were never approved at the Supreme Court level. So they made changes to the voting process without approval. That is against the law. I mean, that's part of what, Trump and his campaign are fighting about. I mean, that is literally against the law. That's collusion. You cannot do that. But they did it because they were going to get him out by any means necessary, and they knew whatever type of fight he would put up ultimately, would end up going to the wayside. Now we'll see what happens, but they're probably gonna have to drag him out of there.
Yeah, right? Well, January 6th, there's going to be a rally in Washington D.C. Protest in D.C. It's supposed to be a huge one. So we'll see what happens there. Inauguration's supposed to happen. I don't know, man. I feel like it was all designed to try to kick off social unrest and a riot and whatever they want to call that, a revolution. Not a revolution, but what's that called? Another the shit that started all this crap. When they had the first one, it was what do they call that? Civil War.
Oh, I got you. Oh, yeah. Well, another thing is too, like, if you look at politics prior to Trump, right? The average person who was interested in politics were probably of a demographic of say 35, maybe 40 plus, right? That's why, MTV did the whole go rock the vote. And, you got entertainers coming out trying to tell people to vote because people under the age of 35 just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right. So as 2012 happened and you have the Enlightenment, you have the consciousness shift, you have the conscious era that we're in, the age of Aquarius, right? And more people are starting to really see what this is about. Well, once again, they feel threatened. So what they need to do is they need to spark interest. Well, how do they do that? Well, what's the most popular show on ESPN? First Take or PTI or Undisputed on Fox. Why? Because you have two people debating each other. You have one side and another side. It's the ultimate confrontation, mano y mano, one against one. So they create this division that politically to divide the country. Why? So we can be interested. More people voted this time, whether real, fake, dead or alive, than ever, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because they created that division. They created that interest, even though majority of the people don't even know what the hell is going on. They're just going to read a headline and hear that Trump is racist, so they're going to vote for Biden, or they're going to hear that Biden, molests kids and is a pedophile, and they're going to vote for Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not really going to dig deep into it, but they're interested because of the division that the media, that the system, that society has created. And now you got the younger generation now.
Yeah.
Especially when you throw race into it. I mean, if you look at the some of the protests and Black Lives Matter and everything that happened after George Floyd, I mean, you saw you saw every demographic. You saw every age group participating in that. And that's what they want by design.
Yeah, the whole George Floyd thing, man. It was hard to watch, but then you started, a lot of other stuff started coming out about that, and I don't even know, they haven't even went to trial or anything on that yet, right?
No, not yet.
Oh, that's gonna be another one where if they let them off, boy, there'll be trouble in the streets.
Oh, it's gonna, yeah, and that's, unfortunately, that's kind of what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They want that to happen, just like with Mike Brown, and the cop that killed him. Same thing. They want that. They like that. It sounds very. It sounds like a lack of empathy. You know what I'm saying? But that's the people that control all this. They don't have any empathy. They don't care about you. They want you to know that they don't need you, that you are here because of them. And that's how they operate. So you'll hear people that, because, I have, did I fall off? Are we done?
No, you're not done. You just keep going. We froze a little bit, but just keep rolling. Okay. It'll catch up.
My bad.
The audio's good. The image sometimes will lag.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, I know. Believe me, that's case in point why my natural medicine one didn't end up being a video, because of that. Anyways, where was I at? Oh, yeah. You'll have people that will literally make the argument that, that's a conspiracy, because there have to be so many people involved, and there's no way that someone would hurt that many people involved, blah, 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 blah. No, they will. Mm-hmm. Because they don't have that type of empathy. They're on a different level of consciousness than we are, as well as some other shit. You know what I mean? So they're about power, they're about greed, they're about ego. They are different individuals than me and you. So if you've ever worked in for a corporation, I don't know if you have, but I have, and a big corporation. And what you will notice is that the people at the top of that corporation, you're a number to them. Mm-hmm. That's all you are, is a number. So that's why when they like Coca-Cola the other day laid off 12,000 people, that's a number to them. It's not 12,000 individuals that the CEO of that company is going to walk up and shake their hand and say, you know what, I'm sorry, here's a severance package, I hope you and your family recover. No, it's something that's going to trickle down to middle management, that they're going to have to tell them, hey, you let go, whatever. You're a number to them. It's the same situation in society. You are a number to them. And that's all you will ever be, because you don't impact them. but they, in every possible facet of society, impact you.
Yep, absolutely. And that you're 100% right. It is like that, man. And, it goes even further than that, because when you start getting into like pharmaceuticals and the numbers crunchers, especially in automotive too, they've got these number crunchers that basically plan for casualties, right? They put aside, they know that they're going to profit so many billions. Well, of this billions, we're going to have to at least allot maybe 1 billion for the lawsuits that are going to come for people that actually die from whatever it is. That's already planned into it. It's baked into the into the pie. You know what I mean? And it's like they do not think about anything other than, bottom lines, profits, shareholders. Our Christmas is fucking doesn't matter to them. We are nothing to them. We're beneath them. I got a good taste of this when in construction. I live in the Bay Area, so I did a lot of work down in Silicon Valley, and they will we're good enough to build your shit, but we're not good enough to break bread in the same place that you do. We couldn't go into their cafeteria and spend our money in there. They want to have nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? And it's like, that just really goes to show you, all right, well, even though a lot of these employees that work there, not the ones at the top, but your mid-level employees, it's like we make more money than you do, but yet you look down on us because of what we do. And it was so frustrating. There's a lot of times I just want to go and drop kick some of these fuckers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like in high school when you would slap something on the back of somebody and fucking kick them in their ass down the hallway. Call me a bully if you want, but I mean, those are the same kind of people with the same kind of attitudes that, are the type of people that you go, man, you look good, but your attitude makes you fucking ugly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The inside 100%. Of you is horrible. You have no empathy. You don't give a shit about anything that you do to anybody. And it's I can't wait for this to go away, if it ever will. And that's the thing. It seems like it is so big and so out of control that what are you going to do? I mean, you can go third party, but I mean, I would love to see what would happen if like the Libertarians, the Green Party, and all of the disenfranchised Democrats that went over to Republican to vote for Trump because they saw the bullshit that was happening with Harris and Biden, right?
Right.
If you could get all those people together and you could get them on the same page and just say, hey man, let's just try this just once. All right.
Yeah.
Just to see what happens. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And what they will do. Will both sides now come and try to attack you if you were in the White House, if you won the vote and let's say a libertarian or whatever they put out there made it through? You know what I mean? What would happen? What would the left and the right do? Would they be trying to sabotage the whole thing? I mean, because that's a part of the thing that was happening with Trump is that, yes, he was in there, but a lot of the people that he was depending on for information, like Barr and all these other people, they're a part of the fucking the neocons, man. They're a part of the groups that want to take everything that's public and privatize it. That's part of the problem. They want to put a profit model behind everything. And it's like, man, I would love to see what would happen, man.
It would be interesting. I'm thinking of in history, and I guess Ross Perot was probably hold on 1 second. Hey, Sienna, quiet.
She's back there singing songs.
Ross Perot was probably the one independent candidate that probably got the most traction, right? The most successful. Obviously, he didn't win, but he was able to somewhat compete, mainly because of money. Like he had so much money, to fund his campaign. So it would take a massive backing of a major corporation or some billionaire to really push that through, because like I think of Jo Jorgensen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she had a lot of great ideas. And when Trump and Biden would debate, she would go on her own platform and answer the same questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But nobody saw it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like NBC or CNN or Fox News or ABC even mention her as a candidate. Like most people didn't. I mean, I remember I told people about Jo Jorgensen. I'm like, who? They don't even know that person exists.
Mm-hmm.
And that's by design. They don't want you to know that anybody else exists because they need this two-party platform to divide people. And it's sad because what you just said would be amazing to give it a try. Like, look, this isn't working. This hasn't been working. Let's try a different approach, which should be true democracy, right? That should, because democracy ultimately, if you take it back to its origination, goes back to the Greek times, and it was controlled by the people. It was controlled by the people. The people decided who they were going to elect, who was going to be the candidate, not these lobbyists and not these corporations that, oh, we're going to pick two people for you and now you can choose. No, the people decided who were going to be the candidates. That's true democracy. What we have now is not a true democracy.
No.
And,
it hasn't worked and been real since FDR and the new deal that he put through. And like I was watching something today. I can't remember what the name of it was, but it showed the graph of the inequality and wealth. And around the time of the Great Depression, when that happened, the inequality was the highest, and then now up where we're at right now in 2008, that's when that crash happened, that the inequality was the highest. But in the middle is like the golden, like the arch of the Golden Gate Bridge, right? In the middle is when the middle class got built up and everything else, because if you have a strong middle class, you have a strong economy, because the middle class is the one that pushes economies, right? So yeah, it was really interesting watching it. I wish I would. Inequality for All or something like that. It was a movie, and it was about.
Okay, I may have seen that actually.
Yeah, it was a guy that was really short, and he was he actually was a Rhodes Scholar, went to school with Bill Clinton, and he just talks about how it's just the divide and wealth and poverty and what the difference is between the two and how it comes to be and all that stuff. So I still need to finish watching. I was like halfway through it. But to tie back to what you were saying, as far as, I had it on my mind and it's gone.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about you, man, that I noticed is that you write shit down and you'll reference stuff in your notes. And I'm like, damn, I need to do that.
Yeah, I have to, or I will forget. My mind just so many things going on that I'll just go down a different road, and I'm like, oh damn, I had a point. I promise, I had a point.
Yeah,
but I'll have to write it down.
Selected, not elected. That's really where we're at. Oh, I got it. So two points. One is that Tulsi Gabbard. It goes right along with what you were saying. She blew. The whole reason Kamala Harris had to drop out is because she blew her out of the water in that debate, right? Yeah. And guess what? She was never allowed on stage again because she was the only candidate that was talking about the regime change wars and the senseless money that we spend on the military-industrial complex, or the whatever. There's a name for it, but it has to do with that. But yeah, she got blackballed, and like she was still in the race and you hear nothing about her. You know what I mean? She hadn't dropped out. She was supposed to be she had qualified to be in the next debate, and they changed the goal line and changed everything, and they wouldn't allow her. That's one thing. Another thing is that I had Spike Owen on my show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Spike Cohen. The Libertarian the vice presidential candidate. Yeah, he was interesting. I had it on for about like a half hour. I liked everything he was saying. So this was part of a little 2-part series. I didn't know this is the first time that I was ever going to vote, because I never voted before. And so I wanted to know about the progressives. So I had Steve Grumbine on from the Real Progressives, and he was just recently on Jimmy Dore. And he talking about MMT and modern monetary theory, and kind of explaining, because I'm like, well, I don't know where to go. I mean, libertarians, I like what they say, and progressives, so sell me, man, what you guys got. And I did that with both of them, and it was cool. It was interesting, what they had to say, but it's
for sure. I think the biggest mistake that gets made is the idea of labeling. Like, I want someone to come out, in the no label party. Like, I'm not a libertarian, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not green, I'm not, what I'm saying? I'm just literally, I have ideas and I want to run the country. Like, no labels. Because you don't have to put somebody in a box. Like, you have so many, and this is where the conditioning comes in, man, and the indoctrination. It's like, if I'm a Democrat, then I have to go for everything that Democrats say, regardless, or I have to vote for this Democratic candidate because they're a Democrat. No, you don't. You have the right to vote. That means you have the right to choose. You don't have to follow a party. You don't have to be influenced to follow blindly because they have some label attached to them. And that's a huge problem in society. And I'm hoping with the younger generation, that's going to change, because it's really bad. I mean, the fact that I just know so many people that would vote blindly for whatever Republican candidate, whatever Democratic candidate, regardless of what the hell they're saying. And that's a problem. Labels are a problem. When you start labeling things, that's where separatism comes in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you talked about, working construction and pretty much working for the same entity, but yet you're different. You know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be like that. Like, my shirt right here, not Democrat, not Republican, humanitarian. We're all human. You know what I'm saying? We're all part of the same race. We're all part of the same everything. We didn't choose, if you're born to rich parents, you didn't choose that. If we get into a real metaphysical conversation, you kind of did choose that. But anyway, we're talking into something else. So, but to sit here and celebrate things that you didn't control, and add labels to them to create that energy and separatism is what one of our society's main problems is. No labels. There should be no labels.
Well, yeah, we're all pretty much the same underneath. You skin us down, right? And you just look at us from like biological beings, right?
Right.
And what our purpose is, and how we operate, and how our emotions work. They all work the same way. We all want basically the same thing. If you have a family, you want your family to be safe. You want your family to be healthy. You want them to have opportunities that maybe you didn't have. You want to show them a better way than maybe you were shown. There's this one meme that I love, man, and it goes to, don't give your kids the life that you wish you had. Teach them the things you wish you knew.
That's big. I like that, man. I got to find that meme. I'm stealing that one.
Well, I mean, it's true, because we get so caught up in trying to give our kids the life. I mean, do you have kids?
Yes. I have three daughters.
Yeah, I have one daughter. Well, I have two daughters. One of them I gave up my rights when I was out there as a drug addict and doing stupid stuff. But I talk to her every once in a while now on Instagram. But my 3-year-old, like, it's really easy to get caught up in like, oh, I want to make your life better than, and trying to make up for all the mistakes that you made in the past with yours, or your parents had made with you, or you wish that they had done with you. And you get caught up in trying to give them everything that you wish you had. And it's like, no. It's like, that's useless, because it's material. Yeah, it's material. It doesn't teach them anything. It doesn't teach them the things that you wish you knew, like, hey, whatever it may be, look, there's these landmines that you got to watch out for in life, right? If you go and you start stepping over here, you got to be careful, man, because you might run into a guy that was like me when I was a kid, and you don't want that, because those guys, they don't really care about you. They're just going to try to get in your pants and convince you that they love you, and then, don't do that. Don't fall for the okie doke, right? the old banana in the tailpipe. Don't fall for that.
Right. No, exactly right, man.
And so, I mean, I think that's really important, and that's what I try to do all the time. And I need to start, like you're talking about being a vegetarian. Fuck, man, I did keto and did really well for a long time. It took me about 2 years to put the weight back on, and then COVID, that slapped on the last 30 pounds. So, I'm getting ready to move here into another place because I live in my fifth wheel. So I have like a 40-foot fifth wheel that I can like drive around and do whatever. And so I've been living in that for like the last maybe 16 months, 18 months, because I wanted to, it wasn't the right time to buy a house in this area. And it still isn't. I thought it might have been, but now since everybody can work from home, all of the people in San Francisco are now moving out to the suburbs and the outer areas. So the prices went up 100,000, just like that. And so I was like, damn. All right, well, that's not going to happen. So this was the easiest way. I had it, and in order for me to sell it, since I was stupid and bought it brand new, I was like, all right, well, it's going to cost me 10 grand to sell this thing, so I might as well just call this home for a while.
That's awesome, man. We were in the middle of building a house, and we thought about getting a fifth wheel. Mm-hmm. We looked at them. We were almost dead set on it, but it just didn't work out with the pricing and what we wanted to do at the time. But those fifth wheels, it's a house. It's a house that you can travel anywhere, And I all my work I do from home, so it would have worked out perfect for me if I wanted to travel. So yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, my whole
and you don't have to pay no property taxes, man.
No, you don't. It is cool, man. I got to say that. I just got back from, I think the beginning of November, I went crab fishing for a week, Dungeness crab fishing. And I took this thing with me, and my buddy brought up his boat, and we just fished. It's like the third year we've done it. We just fished for a week and try to get as much crab as we can.
Nice.
Yeah. It's let me show you. So this is what
oh, wow. Yeah, man. That's beautiful, man. That is awesome.
So yeah, it's been fun, man. But I'm ready to get into a bigger space with better internet for sure.
No doubt. No doubt.
So yeah. Let's see what else we got. What else we got here? Well, I mean, I guess we could talk about solutions, but I mean, shit. What? I think that'll take up a whole another 3 hours.
I could get something quick on that. So, because that's the first thing I hear whenever we start going down the rabbit hole or just talking about the truth, because we're, me and you, we're truth seekers. We want the truth. And I know you can attest to this, but anyone out there listening, you have to understand when I say this is by design, that means that it's built in a way that you personally are not going to be able to change it. And I know that sounds defeating, right? It sounds defeating, but the whole idea of revolting in a revolution is not going to happen physically. It's going to happen internally and spiritually, because look, we're all connected as beings. We're all connected. And the more you learn, the more you look within, the more you stop allowing stuff externally to affect you, including politics and society, right? The better you're going to be, and ultimately the better we can make society, because then at that point, once we're all at that point and we can see this shit, and the majority of us, because I go by the 90-10 rule, 90% of the people in society are dumb, deaf, and blind. They're just sheep. Once we get that number, once we start digging into that number where it's closer to 50-50, then we can start doing something physically. But before then, we have to learn to look within. We have to, whether if you're religious, that's fine. I talk more about spirituality, because spirituality is about looking within. But look within, be the best, highest version of yourself, be a truth seeker, question everything. And you'll start to see things differently. And once we as a people can do that, then we can start talking about making real change. Until then, the same shit's going to happen because they have the advantage, because they have your mind.
And they have the media.
Your mind, oh, yeah. They have the power. They got the power, the money, and your mind.
Yeah.
How can you beat that?
You can't. You've got so many. It's like an octopus and 8 legs. Yeah. So Charlie Robinson has a book called The Global Octopus of Control, and it has an octopus with wrapped around the Earth, basically.
Yep.
And that's what it is. And each industry, big industry, is one leg of it. And you've got the media that kind of culls everything and pushes narratives, and the 90% keeps them in that lane, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have everything else. You've got the prison industrial complex, you've got the military industrial complex, you've got all of that stuff. And I'm really big on since I've been to prison and I'm a part of that population, about criminal justice reform, prison reform, starting to change things. If you're an addict, I like the model of, drugs and addiction are just nothing but a byproduct of a bigger problem. Yes. That's what it plays out. And you talk about mental health. I talk about mental health a lot. And I think that the number one public safety issue should be untreated trauma, because everything that we see that spins out from an untreated, somebody who's been through a traumatic event, whether it's a woman that was molested as a child and is now, hypersexual and is a drug addict. Now, unwanted pregnancies, you've got all of these other things that spin out because of that. She doesn't know how to have relationships. She's busy trying to, cause problems between 2 guys, which is now causing physical altercations. Somebody might die now. It's just all of this stuff that comes in the wake of untreated trauma that we should be dealing with. We shouldn't be in a punitive model with that. It should be anything that has to do with addiction and drug addiction and any kind of addiction, because drugs aren't just the main one. Drugs are the worst one, but everybody has an addiction of some sort, whether you have a gambling addiction, you have a phone addiction, you have eating addiction, you have, everything all plays out from that. And so I really believe that if we're going to make a change in society in that way, you have to deal with behavior. You have to change behavior. Not you can eliminate the drugs if you want, but people are going to find a different way to hide from whatever it is that they're experiencing and not dealing with.
Yep. Because ultimately, I can't speak wholeheartely to drug addiction. I do have people in my circle that have dealt with it, so I've seen it, but I haven't experienced it firsthand. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it's an escape. You know what I'm saying? And then it becomes comfort. You know what I mean? So you ask yourself, if you start to pull back the layers, okay, well, what are you escaping from? Right? Is it your environment? Is it the way you're brought up? Whatever the case may be, though, you have to get to the root. And if you don't get to the root, then ultimately you're going to see a cycle continue and continue and continue. But I'll say this as well. That is also by design, because the more addicts, the more addicts, and that whole cycle that you were talking about the woman, what does that create? Well, that creates more crime, which ultimately creates more prisoners, which ultimately creates free money in private prisons. You know what I'm saying? It's modern day slavery. So you start to look at where that comes from and where that all spawns from, and ultimately that trickles to the top again. And so, there's it's not a coincidence that if you go into the inner cities that you see pawn shops and you see bail bonds and you see a lot of fast food restaurants and liquor stores. That's by design, right? Yeah. So, that's, people need to start, that's what I'm talking about. Like, people need to understand that, and people need to see that and recognize it, and understand that the society that they're a part of is bullshit. It really is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
everybody says, "Oh, it's all of it's broken." No, it is not broken. It is working absolutely the way that it was designed to work.
Oh yes, it is.
It's
to a T.
Yeah, it's actually pretty fucking impressive how well it works.
Oh yeah, it is.
But that's we could be here talking forever. We're about at 54 minutes. So we're gonna cut this here, but definitely, man, I would love to be on your show and talk. Come up with a topic that I could research and
you've got experiences that we would love to tackle on my show, man. Especially with you being in prison and dealing with some of the demons that you've had in your life, and especially mental health, man. We'd love to have you on. So we will definitely talk.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Why don't you go ahead and plug all your stuff, your places, your spaces, and where everybody can find you.
Definitely. So you can catch my podcast. The easiest way is to go to mindslikminds.com. That has everything from the audio stream to the YouTube channel as well. But if you're a YouTuber, just type in Minds Like Minds to catch me on there. Make sure you subscribe so you get notified every time we drop a podcast or a video. We drop about 2 videos a week. High spiritual, deep thought, truth-seeking, social issue, mental health content. You'll love it for sure. So definitely check that out. And we're on all major streaming platforms. You name it, we're on it. From Amazon Music to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, all that good stuff. You can follow me on Instagram at R.L._Malpica. That's Malpica. I know that's not your typical last name. And you can follow me on Twitter at R.L.Malpica as well. We do have a group called Minds Like Minds on Facebook. I know I'm bombarding you guys with all this stuff, but you can rewind and listen to it again. Minds Like Minds group, where we share a lot of these ideas. We have a real strong group that, posts content and we discuss it. We have real thought-provoking conversations, and we're also going to start doing some mini seminars, some live webinars as well, just talking about spirituality to how to break conditioning to healthy eating. My co-host Deshaun the Definition is a chef, so he's gonna start doing some live cooking videos to how to cook consciously. So that's where you'll find us. It's a movement. Be a part of it, and we're excited to have you. Let's go. Let's grow.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And shoot me an invite for that for your group. And all this still information will be in the show notes as well. We'll get all that stuff down in there. The only thing I'll need from you is just shoot me something. You can, or I'll pull a snapshot of this Zoom thing. I'll find one where we're both smiling.
I got pics. I mean, if you need pics, man, I got plenty of pics. So
or you can send you can send a pic or whatever it is that you want to do to the email address, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
But yeah, I want to thank you. I appreciate you you making some time to talk to me. I want to wish you and your family a Merry Christmas. If you participate in that, I don't know, people, some do, some don't. I know this year we're not really doing anything with my family. I mean, I'm taking my daughter tonight to a drive-through Six Flags light show or light.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, light thing. So
that's awesome.
That'll be interesting. But as far as getting together and all that, I think it's probably going to either be a Zoom or not at all. So
yeah, COVID fucked everything up.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about that, but that's probably good because we probably get shadow banned for it if it went on YouTube.
Yeah. I think I've got shadow banned from Instagram from talking about it, because now nobody sees my shit when I post on my IG stories. So I think they got me, but it's all good.
I feel like my YouTube channel's like that because I've got tons of content on there, and it's like the views are just not there. And I'm like, oh, God damn,
probably what happened.
I'm like, do I suck or is it just I put some stuff on there that they don't.
You're talking that real shit, and they don't want people talking that real shit.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you and everything that you're doing and everything that you're bringing to light and, putting yourself out there like that. It's going to take a lot more of us to be doing that. And we need to fight their media with our media.
100%.
All right, man. Stay up, brother.
You too, brother.
All right.
You've been listening to the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. Sean is a single dad, a union blue-collar guy, and he spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. When he was released from prison in 2006, all he had was the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and some paperwork. Since then, he's turned his life around and shares the struggles and successes on this podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you were moved. To connect to the show, book a guest spot. For merch, Patreon, PayPal, and social media links, go to linktr.ee/nowheretogobutupnow. On Instagram at nowheretogobutupnow. On Twitter at butupnow. On the YouTube channel at Nowhere to Go But Up Podcast. See you next time.